Welcome back. We continue with the news review right here on Citizen TV, Our Breakfast with Nelson Harvey, lawyer, and Gabriel Muduma, Jubilee Party strategist. And of course, the biggest discussions are political, but this one cannot escape our mention. Brain surgery on the wrong Kenyatta National Hospital patient. How many times does this happen? Kenyatta Hospital suspends medics involved in horrific case of medical malpractice, spotlight family on the institution's patient care and poor surgery protocols. This is the biggest referral hospital in this region. A neurosurgeon has been suspended for opening up the head of the wrong patient. That's why I was saying the wrong head. Yes. In one of the worst cases of medical malpractice to become public, 2 men were wheeled into unconscious into the hospital on Sunday. One needed head surgery to remove a blood clot in his brain, while the other required nursing and medication to heal a trauma swelling on the head, medically known as closed head injury. I think is the one whose head they ended up opening. Right. Now, coming very fast on the heels of what the accusations against morgue attendants at the facility that they were attacking and sexually assaulting even nursing mothers. Just a week ago, 2 weeks ago, a baby was stolen at the same facility. So many stories told over and over about how gruesome the situation is at this facility. What happens is, should we just take it like, yes, it's a government facility and that's what happens at government facilities, and therefore the quality can be this bad that even a neurosurgeon, a very well-educated doctor, can actually open up the wrong head?
First of all, let me say, in fact, we've addressed 3 things, and very quickly, within a minute, I'll try to address all of them. First of all, the rape issue. Honestly, Fred, I think it was a hoax. Personally, I hold to that view. I think it was a hoax. It was created to just be a rabble-rouser. Really, nobody came forward, even after the women in parliament. You know, even after the senator for Nairobi, Sakaja, said, if you have ever gone through this ordeal, kindly come to us. Nobody came up.
To be fair to the victims, even in other such cases, victims rarely come out to speak out.
But you see, it started, by the way, the person who started it, and I follow that trail, right? The person who started this was not even somebody who went through that. He said he had it from a third party. So it was wrong. If the person who went through that ordeal came out and said, you know, I was there through this date, on this time, I went through this ordeal, this happened to me, even if you have to express it on Facebook or on social media, and people are able to track and find out that this is a legitimate issue that happened, then you can deal with it from that end. But I think, and I hold the view until today, unless somebody comes forward on that, I think it remains.
I'll give you that.
The second one,
it is debatable.
The second one, actually we saw what happened, and I was actually so surprised that the hospital had security cameras, which were actually used, and by the police, they were able to move in very quickly and ensure that that baby was found. So there, I give kudos to that hospital, honestly. All right, and I know there are so many other things that happen in many hospitals, but on that particular issue about the twins, you know, we had issues where a parent, you know, 2 parents, one, I mean, who does that? You come and give your child to a total stranger. I mean, that was wrong. So we had people who lost the element of responsibility there, who should have, you know, who should have taken the slack. But at the end of the day, it ended happily. You know, we saw the child come back. Coming to this issue now, one thing I'll agree with you, Fred, it is a serious oversight. One that needs heads to roll. But again, we have to look at 2 patients coming in who have seemingly the same issue to deal with the head. The surgeon at that time, and that's why I'm looking at this, and I was telling you it's good sometimes to put the environment, the issues of the environment into perspective. The surgeon is somewhere scrubbing, waiting for this person to be brought into the emergency. It is a very big mistake, but if you look at how it can happen, it is slightly very easy for it to happen. All a nurse needs to do is to change the tag, and you'll operate on the wrong person. So the surgeon comes in thinking this is the patient I'm working with, ready scrubbed in a germ-free environment. You have no time to identify the patient. I mean, really, do surgeons really have the time to identify the patients? I don't think they do. So it is a serious issue, a serious override, a serious mistake, and I'm calling it as is. But if you look at it from the point of happening, you can see how easily it can happen. Wow. Just a switch in the tag. I mean, I was just reading yesterday Boston where somebody was removed a very healthy kidney.
By mistake.
By mistake. These mistakes do happen. They do happen also in the world. But they bring in a very serious oversight. When somebody would need to be asking, how do we tag patients? I think they need to go back to that.
Maybe because the neurosurgeon, because doctors that serve Kenyatta National Hospital, you do understand they also work elsewhere.
Right.
But Nelson Harvey, this cannot be excused as something that just happens.
Right.
That yes, you can be wheeled into Kenyatta National Hospital with a problem with the liver and get your kidney transplanted or something like that because someone did not do their job. Surely this cannot go unquestioned.
This is very unfortunate, but we must understand there are so many people in the medical field who always give very good service, and they're always determined to ensure that they give the best of their ability to the patient. But there is one character I've always noticed about the medics that is always very confounding and annoying. They always carry themselves with this aura of immortality. You understand? They just wait there, the doctor is coming. Wait there, the surgeon is coming. I think that is wrong. There has to be a measure of responsibility, because you see, unlike a lawyer where my mistakes can be rectified on appeal, a doctor's mistake cannot be rectified because the patient will be dead. You understand? So there has to be a measure of responsibility, and I think once and for all a serious criminal action must be taken here, because you see, medics always enjoy the comfort of a disciplinary process within the medical sector. But I think for all practical purposes, this is an offense. It's an attempted manslaughter. It's as simple as that.
Yes.
So we need to have legislation where people are held accountable. For instance, here I am a lawyer. I'm supposed to pay 2 checks, one to Gabriel and one to Ndimuli. Of course, it's not me who's written the check. My secretary will have written the check. So I said, it's not my problem. The check just came there, and I signed because Ndimuli was given 5 million and Gabriel was given 2 million. No, I think even the surgeon, much as he has a specialized role when he goes to the theater, must do some due diligence, for heaven's sake.
Yes.
Because invasive surgery has long-term effect, and it always shortens life.
Yes.
Because you always advise, don't go for surgery unless it's necessary. And so with an open head, yes, this patient's life has been shortened considerably.
Yes, because it leaves a permanent scar on the head. And there's a related story on Citizen TV about a 4-year-old girl who went in for a simple tonsils, removal of tonsils, of her tonsillitis, and she ended up dead because of oxygen deprivation, an operation that should have taken 40 minutes. About 5 hours later, the parents were informed that your daughter is no more. Now, we've not seen any cases of, and as you said, the disciplinary action needs to be visible even to the Kenyans, that we rarely get to see medics who are involved in such malpractice or negligence, if we may call it that, getting punished. That medical sector seems to protect its own rather fiercely.
Because, I mean, again, you are quite right. At this point, even though the hospital has already issued a show cause letter, I would have expected to see, you know, the medics and the dentistry board. I would have already wanted to see them moving in gear to investigate these cases. The issue you're talking about, Nairobi Women's Hospital yesterday, of the 4-year-old, they should have moved with speed to ensure what is happening. If we are going to roll back to the issue of protecting medics, then I don't think we'll ever find a solution. You know, I'm liking the fact when I read, you know, issues like we are seeing this morning, where we are told the team, the surgical team at Kenyatta National Hospital, they were 2 hours in to the operation, when the top surgeon, the person who started the operation, goes in and said, you know, I cannot see the clot that, you know, that we started out looking for. So where is it? And so the team is, you know, just running around, hey, I think we got the wrong patient. And immediately they were told that, they moved to clean up the area and, you know, put everything back, even though we are told the patient is progressing well. But that just shows you the kind of oversight we are talking about. We need to have that professional body now talking onto this, because the hospital at this time, and we're talking about the hospital management, what can they do? They are not in the theater. Yes, they can bring in them, you know, to see whether was all the procedures, were they followed correctly? It's just like how we deal with other investigations in other fields. Like when a plane, you know, falls from the sky, you know, it's not only the pilot who are put to question, the engineers, the aeronautical engineers are put into question. Who messed in this area? So I think we need to go back here and have the board really investigate these cases, because we need solutions, Fred. We need solutions to ensure that this does not happen again.
Let's get it from a lawyer, because probably the patients in Kenya and Kenyans in general get to feel that probably we're just at the mercy of medics and doctors. There's nothing much you can do, even in such a case where there's gross negligence that will leave you permanently damaged. Is there legal redress, the possibility of legal redress for a patient who's gone through such? He has an open head. Probably the wound will last forever.
Forever. Yes, there is a remedial measure, but it is not very satisfactory because it's almost disciplinary within the profession. Because
so you cannot simply go to court and seek compensation probably, or sue the medic as an individual.
Well, eventually, if there's injury, you need to sue for negligence. You understand? But you see, at what point in time do you hold the doctor culpable? The board has a very lenient disciplinary process. For instance, if something of this kind was to happen either in the engineering field or in the aviation field or in the legal profession, the police will have come for you. It's as simple as that. But they never go for these doctors. What is a short course? You've opened somebody's car and you're being given a short course? No, this guy must be in a police cell and arraigned in court the following day.
The chances of that happening are very minimal.
They're very slim. That's why I always tell you, the problem is people in the medical field always hold themselves with this aura of immortality. That is only you, the patients, who will die, not us. And therein lies the problem.
That's just sad. But it's going to make for a very big discussion. Incidentally, I've seen on Twitter, yes, Kenyatta National Hospital is one of those big topics, probably because of this.